All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, it's been a little over a year since the Dallas Mavericks acquired All Star guard Kyrie Irving from the Brooklyn Nets. The acquisition of Irving by the Mavericks came on the heels of the franchise failing to retain the services of guard Jalen Brunson, who has since developed into a star for the New York Knicks. And for Dallas, they knew that they needed themselves another star to play with all world guard Luka Doncic. But after getting to the Western Conference Finals in 2022, the Mavericks had failed to navigate their way to the playoffs last spring as they finished the season with a losing record while just going 9-18 after acquiring Irving. However, things have been much different this season in Dallas as they went into the All Star break as one of the hottest teams in the NBA. The Mavs won their final six games before the break, while they are currently seventh in the West and just one game behind the New Orleans Pelicans, as they're hopeful to not only get a postseason berth, but then also avoid the play-in tournament. Now, you look at what Dallas has been doing this season, and of course, their big guns are leading the way. Luka Doncic, he's one of those guys that you can basically pencil him in to the MVP conversation every single year. And you look at what he's doing right now, more than 34 points per game, nearly 9 rebounds, and 9.5 assists per contest. And Kyrie continues to be one of the better scorers of this era of basketball as he's averaging more than 25 points per game himself. Now, Mavericks head coach Jason Kidd, who is one of the better point guards in NBA history, but now, nonetheless, in this coaching role, he knows how to get the ball into the hands of his stars. While credit to the Mavericks, they've done a solid job as far as putting guys around both Luca and Kyrie that can play off of them. You think of what Tim Hardaway Jr. has been doing, and then recently picking up Daniel Gafford from the Washington Wizards, Derek Lively, and then PJ Washington. And it's one of those where when you have scorers like Luca and Kyrie, and not just guys that can score, but you're talking about guys who constantly need the ball in their hands in order to be effective. It's one of those where you know what you got to say, hey, um, you got to have guys who can crash the basket. You got to have guys who can just play and be effective without having the basketball in their hands. And I think that's what the Dallas Mavericks have right now. And getting back to last year, Dallas clearly, they took a step back because it's one of those scenarios where okay, you lose Jalen Brunson after he helped you get to the Western Conference Finals. And when they lost Brunson, they really, didn't have anything, as far as a replacement. Okay. And they basically had to start off from scratch, if you will, at that off guard or at that guard rather, because it was one of those where Brunson to me was a perfect type player to play off of Luca because he was a ball handler, didn't always need the ball in his hands to be effective, and he was that perfect complement to Luca's style. Now, you've gone in a different direction with Kyrie as far as just having that scorer. But again, it's all about putting guys around both Luca and Kyrie that are going to help them be effective. So you look at it right now, and Luca and Kyrie individually are two phenomenal players. And you look at both of them, they like to be on the big stage. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this team looks when they get to the postseason. Because I do think at the end of the day, Dallas is going to be postseason bound. But nonetheless, um, it's going to be interesting to see what Dallas's chances are when they get there. Because you look at it right now, Dallas could get to the play-in tournament. They're on that fringe, if you will. But I think, they have a strong team that, what, they could survive the play-in tournament and get to the postseason round. And for me, this is a very interesting year in the Western Conference because you look at it right now, the way the standings are. You got Minnesota number one, you got OKC number two, And both of these teams have talent, but they also have youth on their sides. How much fear are those teams going to put into the 7th seed and the 8th seed, respectively, in round number one? That's someplace where a guy like Luka and his talent can take over, and the same can be said for Kyrie. So I think this Dallas Mavericks team could be an enigma. We saw them a couple of years ago with Luka and Kyrie. Well, let me rephrase that, with Luka rather. And Luka basically, you can't really say had his coming out party, if you will, but it's one of those where Luka just let everybody know who he was if they already didn't know. But nonetheless, the way that this Dallas Mavericks team is, I think they're lurking, and I think they can be dangerous. And it's going to be interesting to see. I'm just calling them a two-man power trip. Anybody who knows wrestling knows about that. But nonetheless, I do think this combo could be very interesting come postseason time for the Mavs. So, folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.